What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with some Destiny 2 news and updates. And of course with Destiny 2 getting a new update this week, including the PvP map pack, and more of the Into the Light content drop in, we do have a few updates from Bungie, so we'll cover those. Additionally though, we're going to talk about new activities coming up in the final shape, as well as a bit more detail about the Pale Heart destination and some of the zones that we'll find, including new strikes, lost sectors, campaign missions and more. We'll also talk about the Destiny 1 tower being recreated in Black Ops 3, that's actually pretty awesome. Plus there are a handful of other updates which we'll round up in the video today. So as always guys, I hope you find this one useful, and if you do, a rating below really does help us out on the channel. But without further delay, let's get into it. And initially, a quick update from Bungie from a few days ago, but Bungie Help said due to an issue, the risky archery emote has been temporarily changed to use a different animation. Once the issue is fixed in a future update, the risky archery emote will return to its normal animation. And it turns out there was actually a way to make the character model disappear by using this emote, essentially making players invisible, which was certainly a little bit game breaking, so that's why Bungie have gone ahead and done that, and we'll get more updates and information soon. In terms of other updates for this week though, Bungie do say with the release of update 7364, checkpoints in the Pantheon have been restored for the Caretaker and the Explicator of Planets. So that was to fix a bug that was introduced last week. Let us know as well if you've jumped into Pantheon this week and how you found that experience. But up next, Bungie also had said that they investigated reports that the Wave 20 portal in Onslaught is not spawning for players, and after investigation they determined that the issue is only affecting the Midtown map. So to alleviate the issue, they'll be turning off the map in Onslaught momentarily until a fix can be deployed, and they're currently targeting next Tuesday for that fix, so Midtown will be out of action for the rest of the week at least. Although that is better than being blocked from completing the boss wave. Also for this week though, on top of Bungie bringing the PvP map pack, and the introduction of daily deep sight weapons that we can pick up on the first seasonal activity completion, Bungie also said prepare for the final shape with 3 epic campaigns and earn an arsenal of exotic and legendary gear, with Shadowkeep, Beyond Light, and the Witch Queen expansions now in open access and available to all players between May 7th and June 3rd. So those 3 expansions are entirely free now, at least until when the final shape drops. But if you've been meaning to catch up with them or jump in for the first time, that is 100% something to take advantage of. On top of that though, it turns out that the seasons from this year, so the Lightfall seasons, are also completely free for players. So if you haven't had access to any of that stuff up until now, it's certainly a really positive update. So let us know if that's a useful one for you. Otherwise, Destiny Bulletin shared the next Dev Insight look will dive into the Prismatic subclass scheduled for May 9th. And this is off the back of an email that Bungie sent out yesterday that said their next hands-on preview will be for Prismatic. It's interesting because they actually already did a significant blog with a bunch of details for the subclass. So I'm not sure if that means that this one will be a sort of vlog or something like that, or whether they'll go into more details on aspects and fragments, maybe exotics and the new exotic class items. Not entirely sure, but Bungie are saying there will be more to reveal on May 9th, so look out for that, and assuming it's a thing, I will be sure to keep you posted. Next up though, let's talk a little bit about some new missions, activities and objectives that we'll see inside of the final shape, and these relate to the Pale Heart destination based on what we've seen in the previews for final shape from Bungie. So of course some of this is work in progress, but it gives us a little more information about some of the stuff that we'll be able to do on the Pale Heart. So in terms of extra activities, there is one called Overthrow the Landing, and Harry on Twitter did a roundup of what some of these will be. So Overthrow is kind of like a terminal overload style activity on the destination. We can see in some of the gameplay here, it would appear that it has 4 levels, which culminate in a boss wave, which requires 1,000 points to progress, and a whole bunch of enemies to kill in order to get through it. So this is just one of the sort of destination activities that we'll get access to probably after the campaign for Final Shape. But also, Pale Heart seems to have at least 3 different load zones, so there's the Lost City, the Maelstrom, and Divide. Plus in some of the gameplay, we spot what appear to be campaign missions for the Final Shape story, so these aren't particularly spoiler heavy in terms of actual narrative or anything, but it would appear one of the missions will be Transmigration, and we can see various objectives showing up inside of these as well. Plus there's another called Temptation, and one called Descent, with the objective to forge a path to the Witness's Monolith, which is this sort of crazy dark tower that we see in the skyline for the Pale Heart. And in that one we'll also have to defeat subjugators and a boss called Pillar of Devotion. So some cool little teasers for some of the content that we're going to find. But also from that gameplay, we can see there is a new destination strike called Liminality, Obviously, this will also have a Nightfall variant in Final Shape, with one of the objectives there being to explore the Forgotten City. And additionally, there are 2 lost sectors that have been spotted, which is the Forgotten Deep and the Broken Deep, but it seems likely there'll probably be even more than that on the destination as well, based on what we've seen previously. So it's cool to spot just a couple of additional objectives and activities that we'll find in the Pale Heart. And of course, separately, we can expect to see exotic quests, the raid, and the post-raid content, where Bungie have confirmed there will be a sort of campaign finale mission, which is triggered by the completion of the raid, where all players will get to play both part of the sort of raid experience, which will probably be similar to something like Preservation, the mission that we had for Vow of Disciple, and ultimately that will culminate in a mission that all players can complete to actually conclude the Final Shape campaign. So, assuming someone gets the raid done in the first sort of day or so, the Final Shape campaign is likely to conclude by the weekend of that initial launch week, so that'll be interesting, and it will unlock extra content. Then we'll be straight into the Echoes episode the following Tuesday. So it's going to be a very busy first sort of week or so for the expansion, but with us being in the final few weeks before Final Shape, definitely we're going to get a lot of reveals, so if you want to stay up to date, keep it locked and loaded here on the channel. A final couple of things I wanted to mention though, and the Destiny 1 tower has been recreated in Black Ops 3, and as covered by the game post here, it features fully functioning subclasses, RNG exotics, custom enemy types, NPCs, and more. And this has been developed by Easy Skanker and a team of folks over on Twitter, and the Steam Workshop now features the Destiny 1 tower Outbreak. But there are some really cool elements to this. As you can see in some of the gameplay shared by the game post here, there's one objective to carry Lakshmi's head on a spike, and we could use this to fight a bunch of enemies. Also, we find vendors like Xur and Lord Saladin in these maps, so that's pretty cool. Plus, there are apparently a bunch of different weapons from Destiny that can be found in there as well. So if you want to check that out in more detail, I'll link the game post article down below. That also has all of the information for how you can download and play this. Certainly a pretty impressive effort, so big shout out to the folks who worked on it. And if you're a fan of both zombies and Destiny, it's certainly something to check out for a bit of fun, so all the information is down below. Our very final mention though, and Snazzy Rock managed to actually solo the first Pantheon challenge that came out last week. That is an absolutely bonkers effort, which took around 40 hours to get done. But when you consider that entire teams find this challenging, the fact that someone has soloed it is pretty mind-blowing, so Snazzy Rock uploaded a video of that clear, and if you want to see it, it's linked down below. For today though guys, that's what we have to round up, so as always, I hope you found this one interesting, and if you have, a rating below really does help us out on the channel. Also be sure to get subscribed and I'll keep you posted with more Destiny content, and otherwise, I really appreciate you all tuning in, and I hope you have an awesome day.
I don't know what comes next, but I know there are greater threats on our doorstep.
It knows we're coming. We have work to do.